This podcast is intended for informational purposes only and should not replace professional mental health care. If you are in crisis, please contact your local emergency number or the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988. Hey y'all, welcome back to Hello Human Podcast, your resource for grounded guidance and staying connected with yourselves and each other. I am Dr. Joy.
And I'm Aaron Jones, LMFT. Welcome back.
Welcome back. We are at episode 5.
Episode 5.
Can you believe it?
5 in.
5 episodes. And today we're talking about from burnout to breakthrough, reimagining your relationship with work. And I'm going to tell you, the title alone is bringing some energy.
Did it?
I'm just gonna say it's bringing some energy.
After the week I've had, it's bringing a lot of energy.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's a good idea for us to check in first.
Absolutely.
Before we get into it.
Check. Okay, I got a good one for you today.
Okay, let's do it.
On a scale of I feel so purpose aligned to just give me my damn check.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me about a job when you felt either way?
By the grace of God, I have always felt purpose aligned. I think I've always felt like I had the agency to create and choose and do things that really feel like true expressions of myself. However, inside of that, there's certainly been times where, periods where it's like, just run my coin. I just run it and leave me alone.
Just run me my fun.
So certainly there was a period I can remember specifically. This was back in my aquatics days. I used to work as a lifeguard and I used to coach water polo and swimming. And there was a time when one of the managers at the aquatic facility where I was training, I don't know what her deal was, to be honest. But part of my responsibility as a coach and as a lifeguard is that I had to stay conditioned. I had to make sure I could still, we had to retest every year and do our swimming and all the things. So part of our employment was to stay conditioned, swimming, working out. And I was training one time, and I used to come in sometimes before, technically, because it's part of my job, I'm supposed to do it on the clock and get paid. But I used to come in before my shift and do my workout. Yeah. And one day, she basically tried to make me get out because she said I was distracting someone. What? Like, they're trying to do something on the deck and you're distracting them. I'm like, I literally looked at her, put my goggles back on and went back.
And kept swimming.
Because, girl, what? And it was just during that era when she was running that facility and I had to show up and deal with it, that I would just be like, let me get in here, coach these kids, and let me get on.
Absolutely.
I do not want to be here.
And they obviously didn't know who you were because you're going to show up early. Joy going to show up early, Dr. Joy.
I had to get my time in.
You're going to be there before everybody else bother you. I love that about your work ethic. I really do. I really do. Yeah, I've learned that about you. Let me think. Man, well, my work experience has not been as put together as that.
Okay.
There was a time, frankly, before I came back to graduate school and became a licensed clinician, I was doing any and everything. Okay. And I tell people that, and I really do mean that. I literally, at one point in time, I was selling poop door to door, right? But let me qualify that. Let me qualify that.
Yep.
Okay.
Because questions, I have questions.
Lots of questions. Okay. I worked for a lawn care company, one of these big national chains. I'm not going to mention the name.
Okay.
But when I tell people I was selling, poop door to door, I essentially was. I was selling natural fertilizer.
Got it.
Door to door. That was a combination of, chicken meal, bone meal, and poop, right? That's what fertilizer is.
Yeah.
When I tell you that walking around in the Midwestern humid sun, when it's 100, 110 degrees, walking on lawns that have been freshly treated, that is no picnic, okay?
Freshly treated.
Freshly treated. And every day. Listen,
Okay.
run me my check. I cannot wait to get out.
I could see that.
Run me my check. So that's what inspired the check-in today, because sometimes we just, in the interest of participating in capitalism and having to pay bills, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And sometimes we don't always feel great about it.
Sure.
But we do have to show up for various reasons. And sometimes I am purpose aligned.
Yeah.
And other times I'm like, I'm just here for the check.
Yeah. Oh, fair. Super fair. Yeah. Well, just to bring it back to this present moment, what I will say is I am generally feeling very purpose aligned / overwhelmed by the things I do feel called to do in this season. And so it's not like a just giving my check, but it definitely is like I've had to spend some time actually the last few days just getting everything out of my brain, putting it on a piece of, I use a whiteboard, and then just figuring out, like, I got to map this out, create some buckets and some clarity and organization, right? Yeah. So it's like, it's not a frustration as much as it is an overwhelm, but in a way that I feel grateful for and that I recognize there's a responsibility to just be a good steward of. And so that's just kind of where I am right now. And to your point, sometimes you just got to show up to things even when they are uncomfortable.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. Showing up is super important, right? Yeah. Even in a job like that, I do tend to have a pretty good work ethic. So even at a job like that, I'm not the type to miss many days.
Right.
And when I show up, I do make the best of it. But oh my goodness, are there those times?
I feel you.
Thankfully, the work that I'm doing now, I feel uniquely purpose aligned. Okay. I really do enjoy being a clinician. I enjoy looking after folks. I enjoy being part of a change process with people. Yeah. So it really does give me a lot of fulfillment in what I'm doing now. And I'm happy to find it. Not everyone finds their purpose or their path in life. And I'm certainly, if I had to go through 10 seasons of where I was selling things door to door, I would do it all the same just to end up here again.
Okay. Well.
No regrets.
That's a perspective.
Yeah, no regrets on it.
I love that.
Yeah, it builds character.
It does do that.
And I am a character.
Well, as we think about, as we both said, this topic of from burnout to breakthrough is just bringing its own energy for a number of reasons. And so I want to talk about what this episode feels like.
Oh, this is my favorite segment. I love your creativity when it comes to using the English language. So I'm just lay it on me.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So the word today, this episode feels like flow crafting.
Okay. Flow crafting.
So, what do you think flow crafting means in the context of
flow crafting?
Our work, reimagining our work.
Okay. Well, if I just separate the two out.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So flow, I do understand something about flow.
Sure.
Right. We need to be in flow, psychological flow, emotional flow, creative flow to get things done.
Absolutely.
Meaning that, what I'm doing is feeling like it's producing the good work that I want it to do.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think we've all had those experiences where we feel in flow.
Yep.
Crafting, it sounds straightforward, but see, I know if I know you, there's going to be a little bit of a surprise moment here. So I think it has something to do with maybe me taking responsibility over my own process, over my own flow, and unapologetically making it work for me.
Okay.
That's what I'm feeling. I feel really empowered when I read something like flow crafting or you say it out loud.
Okay. I like that.
It sounds like something I could do. It almost sounds like something you could teach. Right?
Well, I will say that, again, because of where I am and the ways I'm being stretched and all the things I'm called to do, and all the ways I feel responsible to show up to those things as a version of me that is, that this work requires and deserves, right? Like, because of that, I do feel like I have to take some responsibility around, like, how am I crafting, curating my work experience so that I'm able to really maximize and show up to the things in the ways that they, again, require and deserve. So I think you're pretty close.
Yeah. Okay.
Definition wise,
Okay.
I appreciate that you broke the two words down, because
That's what it felt
that's
like
like
for
kind
me.
of how my process is. I'm like, what am I trying to say? What words do I have that say that? And then how am I creating something? So you're pretty spot on. And let me give
Okay.
you the definition that I came up with, which is the mindful art of crafting a workflow that optimizes your
Okay.
energy, focus, and creativity based on your unique internal rhythms.
Yeah. See, I knew you was gonna add a little spice in
You
there.
little razzle dazzle.
I knew it was gonna be a little spicy. I like it.
Yeah.
I actually love it.
Okay.
All the talking points that you had, really, the message becomes quite clear very quickly.
Sure.
Right. In order to have any sort of control over our flow or over the things that we create, we do need to develop a process that works for us.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
as much as we can, given other, elements that contribute to,
Right.
our experience, right?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. You and I have the luxury of working for ourselves for the most part, but there are lots of folks, in our audience that don't have that luxury. So sometimes when we're boxed into these corporate structures, it can be a little bit more difficult to kind of tease that out. So as the show goes on today, maybe we could, hit on some of those things too.
Absolutely.
As we talk about it.
You had mentioned earlier that maybe it could be taught. I don't disagree. I feel like anything can be taught in terms of frameworks and concepts, right? Like, you just got to break it down and know your audience and be able to do that. But what I will say is this is a practice for me, right?
Okay.
And so to your point, when you are locked inside of a corporate structure or whatever other things are going on, right, that may influence how you're able to move through a day, fair enough. And there's also what I'm thinking about, or what I'm talking about, is more specifically around like self-awareness, right? Of like, which types of tasks bring me energy, which ones drain me? How am I aware of that, so that I'm setting myself up when I know I'm going into a thing that is not my favorite part of work, but I understand why it's a necessary part of it. And so how am I getting my mind right around that? To your point, I don't love, the poop slinging from door to door.
Right.
However,
it's an important
it's paying
step.
my bills and getting the thing, and I recognize
Yeah.
the value of that, so I'm able to approach it with a level of, so there's the clarity, the awareness, the perspective, and all of that, and then there's also some practical things too. Given, like, for instance, for me, flow crafting, I know I'm a morning person. I like to get up and have those early morning hours for myself to do what I call my 360. My mind, my body, my spirit. I do something for all three every morning. It looks different, the routine, but I do something for my mind, something for my body, something for my spirit. And that's first thing in the morning. From 4:30 to 8:30, that's my time. And then after that, we're into whatever, depends on what the day looks like, depends on what I do next. But those morning hours are for me. And what I know is that whatever I'm doing after that, I'm a morning person, so I'm coming with all the things. But when I need to like lock in and, whether I'm writing curriculum or whatever I'm doing, that's better for me in those afternoon hours.
Oh, I see.
Where I can lock in when I just need to be in my own little bubble and I'm doing whatever I'm doing. That 12 to 4 window, that's my optimum like lock in time.
Okay, so if we break it down, like the first little part of your day is like self-care, getting ready for it, right? And then you said you're 4:30 to 8:30. So from 8:30 to say lunch, right? We're maybe in a bit of a creative
meetings
process.
or brainstorms or the things I need to do with that kind of, like, that would be ideal for me.
Okay.
And then after 12,
just work.
Please let me get in my zone and do what I need to do, lock in, and then I use timers. I use all kinds of things to kind of help my productivity flow.
Right.
Once I'm organized about what needs to be done, and that works best for me.
But it's a really good flow, and I think you talking about it in such a way does really make a lot of sense, because back to the point made about people when they're working in these corporate structures may not be able to control all of that in their workday. But I definitely can control what happens when I get up in the morning, how much time I spend checking in with myself, how much of those morning rituals and routines being worked in, so that I can feel like I'm ready to get into the work whenever I show up there, so I can show up my best. So I do believe in solid starts and solid endings as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So just figuring out, some people are not morning people, right? So maybe there's so just figuring out like when is your energy optimized to do a specific type of task, and then how can you organize your to-do list, whatever that may look like, into a flow that really is sort of attuned to how you are feeling in the day. Because for me, if you're gonna invite me to a meeting at 4:00 in the afternoon, the answer's gonna be
no. No.
If I can,
it's gonna be hard.
If I can say no, the answer is gonna be no. If I can't say no because of whatever the reasons are, respect. When you're collaborating, people got different things. Yeah. I know that that's not my best, so that means my preparation has to look different because I'm sleepy.
Well, I mean,
you heard me say I'm up at 4:30. Exactly.
Right? You got to go to bed at like
4 o'clock. I'm like starting to doze.
That
now you want
sense.
me to still be engaged in a meeting and doing, and I ain't got it.
And in the private practice world, like some people work differently.
Exactly.
Because I work with a lot of couples, I tend to have evening hours. Mm-hmm. So my day, I'm more of a mid-morning person. Mm-hmm. I can get up in the morning, like if I get up and just take care of myself, like eat breakfast and work out, that's about it. I'm not really that productive before 10:30 or 10 o'clock, somewhere around there. It's not, I'm not doing much.
I feel that. I feel that.
Well, thanks for your insight. I appreciate it.
Of course. And we can share more about that if, we'll just see where the opportunities are. If folks have questions, drop them in the comments. Let us know. We're happy to share more about our own flow crafting experience.
Oh, absolutely.
And let us know, does flow crafting work for you? Now that you understand a little bit more about what I mean when I say that, does that work for you? Do you have a different word? Let us know in the comments as well.
It's a good opportunity.
Flow crafting works for you.
It's a good opportunity for folks to chime in. So looking forward to that.
Absolutely. So what I will say is when I talk about this, right? So the bulk of my work right now, ironically, is around emotional wellness content, specifically curriculum for optimizing the intersection between our work and our well-being.
Okay.
This is something that I really sort of walked into during the pandemic when folks were like, okay, now my house is everything, right? Like I work from here, I'm parenting and maybe homeschooling my kids because they're also home in the pandemic from here, my partner and whatever our thing is. And so like this space, which was my home, now has become like
my work,
my everything. And so things got kind of really tricky in that window. And one thing that I would notice when I would do sessions is people would always ask about like, how do I find work-life balance, right? And so I would love to kick this part of the conversation off with just my perspective and my position on that, because I think that helps to
I got a little bit to say about this. Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I don't think about it. When you think about balance, I think about the scales, right? And like this idea that there's an equal amount of weight on both sides. And so when you say work-life balance, the way I picture that or visualize that is like work is on one scale and then the rest of my life is on this other side of the scale.
Oh, wow.
And I'm trying to balance the two.
Okay.
And that is why most people struggle, because it's like you're saying work is equal to literally every other part of your life. Your partnership, your parenting, your community commitments.
I can really see that though. I can fit that.
You feel that feels...
That's very interesting how people always say that.
Yeah.
Right? So in some of the circles I travel in and hang out with, there are folks that are doing a lot of work in the space of industrial psychology, right? So there's a concept in organizational and industrial psychology about work-life boundary management.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
So I immediately think of that, right? So not as like I'm balancing, because oftentimes we can't really balance the scale.
And you can't balance it, and it puts what it does to me, again, I'm thinking about this visually. You're saying work is over here, and then literally every other thing that is not work is supposed to sort of just
fit in there some kind of way.
Yeah, and for me, and I love the reframe of it being a boundary instead of a balance, because for me, I think about life, if you picture it as more like a pie. and it's sliced up into different slices, and work is one of those slices.
Well, just one.
So
of
I'm
them.
not trying to balance everything else against work as much as it is I'm figuring out how work fits into the larger concept or framework that is my life. How much time, energy, focus, attention, etc. And to your point, it's not going to be necessarily equal. Every slice of that pie is not going to necessarily be the same size, but you do see more clearly how it all fits together as opposed to work is sitting over here by itself and then everything else has to be crammed in sort of like around the edges of wherever work is not.
Yeah, and of course in this country and in a lot of other westernized countries, work is overemphasized.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And even as a black male, one of the things that really hits me the hardest when I'm thinking about myself or in my own therapy or working with other young men is how our worth is intricately connected to our output.
Work. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
And I think that's such a crummy scale to be judged by because if I'm not taking care of myself, over time, my output will gradually decrease.
Exactly.
Right? That's the only natural thing. Like you can't run a car without gasoline.
Exactly.
You have to maintenance the car.
You have to do maintenance. Exactly.
And most people are more generous with the maintenance on their cars
than they are
on their home, on their life, on their body, on their relationships.
Absolutely.
So this really speaks very loudly to me. A lot of the clients that I do work with are coming in with this very similar type of frustration.
Yep.
So I hope our viewers really get something out of this because this is something that does occur often and continuously.
And so what ends up happening when I offer that reframe and that it's not a balance of scales where work is on one side and then everything else is trying to balance it out, and we reframe it as this pie, what it helps people to do is start to think about, how does work fit into my whole concept of who I am and all the parts of my life? And it tends to lend itself to a more readily accessible idea of how am I approaching work and also prioritizing or honoring and creating space for the other parts of my life, my social life, my creative life, my community commitments, my family time, my all these things that make up who I am and that support my well-being so that when I am at work, I am not, one of my mantras is, when I say yes, I want to give you my best.
Yes.
Right?
I love that.
And so if I'm saying yes to this work, then I want to show up as my best self, which means I have to do the maintenance outside of this that pours into me, that keeps me energized, that keeps me feeling fulfilled, so that even if the work itself is not my jam, I have such a full and beautiful life that I can withstand this little couple hours or however long of showing up to this thing when I recognize how it funds my abilities to do all the other things. So now I have a perspective that helps me to reframe and reimagine my experience of how I'm showing up to work, even if the work itself doesn't ever change. Right?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And something tells me, based on the subject matter of our podcast, that we have to have a little AI component in here.
We have to.
Too,
we have to.
Right?
We have
This is
to.
what we're talking about, right? So burnout, if we could reconceptualize burnout as just like a misalignment of having too much, not being prepared, being over, dysregulated somewhere or overloaded in another area. I think breakthroughs start when we stop asking, how can I do more? And start asking, what do I need in order to be my best? What do I need in order to be successful? Because work is going to come, life's going to come, children are going to come, all the things are going to happen.
Absolutely.
But it's not always a point about doing more in perpetuity, right?
Correct.
Sometimes it's about doing the right thing for the right reason at the right time.
Correct.
And, can AI help us with that at all?
So, yes, I think so. And this is one of those things that we are constantly talking about, that dance, that nuance of like leaning in and using it for what it's useful and helpful for, but also understanding where we cross that line. And again, I was mentioning I started to really do a lot of this sort of optimizing the intersection between work and well-being during the pandemic. And one of the things that was coming up a lot, and especially towards more like the more last year or two, is, so I'm working from home, so that boundary is already kind of blurred because the work is always right there, and I can always just pop in and do this quick little email, or I can always just do, or it's easy for me to accidentally work into the night because, it's just everything, I still have the TV on, and like maybe my partner or my kids is somewhere close by, so
I love that you accidentally work.
Am I telling on myself?
I love that you accidentally work into the middle of the night. Because you just
think of something like, oh, wait, let me just do this. Well, I have been like, let me do the one quick thing. And then 4 hours later,
you're still doing the
I'm
quick
like,
thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I have a whole outline for a thing, right? And so anyway, my point is like that combination of working from home and then introducing AI, because what happens is AI makes it more efficient and faster and this.
Right.
So what tends to happen is, if I can do it faster or I can do it more efficiently, then that means I can do more in a day. I can just keep saying yes to things because I'm going to, right? And you start to kind of fall for this thing of like, because you have the tools to do more, you think that you should, right? And not just more overall, more in a day. Right? Or more, and then that's where we get into this sort of misalignment, that imbalance, remembering that work is one slice of the pie. Mm-hmm. If you start to keep going more, then because you think, I can use AI, or I'm working from home, my computer's just right there, my home office is just right there, it's fine, I just got to do this right quick before whatever those things are, you kind of blur that. And so it's important for us to think about, how are we using these tools as a way to delegate and offset and not feel pressure that because I can, now I should?
And create boundaries.
Yes, create boundaries.
Boundaries.
So I'm curious to know. I have two that I want to share about boundaries.
Okay.
I have one, what I call no phone zones.
No phone zone.
Yes.
Okay.
I like to call mealtime a no phone zone. So when I'm having a meal, phones down, phones away. That's a no phone zone.
I like that.
And then, so that's one of the ways I set boundaries for that. Because then, messages come through. Maybe you check your email real quick or whatever's going on. So no phone zones. Second thing is I do what I call a digital detox.
Okay.
Where I'm just off all of it.
For how long? How often?
Sometimes I try to do it at least once a month.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just for a day. Sometimes it's for a weekend. I have put the phone down for an entire week.
A whole week?
Yeah.
Whoa.
The people who need to know where I am know how to find me.
Whoa.
Everybody else.
A whole week. That would be a good challenge. I don't think I've ever been able to do that for a whole week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I just be gone.
Something came up for me.
Did it?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to talk to somebody about that. As soon as you said for a week, I started sweating. Lord have mercy.
That is
hilarious. Man, that's a really good tidbit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that.
You're going to do a digital detox? Or
I'm going to
no
do a
phone
digital
zone?
detox.
Yeah.
No phone zones do happen in my life pretty readily, right?
Okay.
So I'm not on my phone during the day, in particular when I'm working with clients. So I don't get to see my phone for hours at a day.
Okay.
But the idea of detoxing is really kind of interesting, especially if this energy is coming up in me when you said that.
Yep.
That's probably something I want to look into a little bit.
Yeah, like there's a little bit of a tether to the phone.
There's definitely a tether. to the phone.
To be fair, that's why I started it. Because I would feel myself just picking it up for no reason. It's like you didn't even get a notification. You're just picking it up just in case. It's like it's too much. And also, who you think you're the president? Like, how important do you think you are that your phone is constantly going to be?
I'm very important.
Okay.
I need to answer when. Don't nobody call me. I ain't that important.
And to your point though about that boundaries, it also creates relationship boundaries because the sort of emails and Slack and social media and all the ways that people can reach us and text and this and that, people do start to feel entitled to that. Like, why didn't you? And it's like, because remember, especially us, we grew up. There was a time when
I couldn't be on the phone.
And
after
even
9,
if not even that, it was like, if you called me and I didn't answer,
I just
then
didn't
I didn't
answer.
answer.
Yeah,
And
I'm
this
not
was
there.
like we didn't always have voicemail. We didn't always have answering machines. It was just like you try your luck, and if you catch me, you catch me, and if you don't, you don't. And it doesn't mean anything except that I have a life that I'm living, and I'm not necessarily always available
To
to
my
you.
phone.
But people, because we have so much access now, people feel entitled, and it does create, even in relationships, taking a break from the phone gives people a sense of, hey, you can access me, but you're not entitled to me. And if I take a moment, you gonna be all right. Right?
I feel like we could do a whole segment on
we
that
absolutely
alone.
could.
On that
But so
alone.
let's talk about this. If we're talking about flow crafting, and we're saying part of this is the agency that you have to be aware of your energy levels, your focus and attention, your capacity in a given day. Part of why we do our check-in is to see sort of where we are so I can know what I'm working with, right? If you do that with yourself and you create a routine where you are saying, I want to really optimize my day by tapping into the things that are going to give me the boost of energy I need at whatever time when I might need that, or that are going to really maximize from the energy that I'm bringing to this because I'm excited about it.
It's going to like
All
multiply
of
my
that,
energy.
yeah.
Maybe.
And it makes the experience of doing your work feel a lot more like a flow because I'm doing the things that make sense. Again, in the morning when I have that fresh burst of energy, the parts that are not my favorite work, I can do those then because I have my intrinsic motivation to show up to it. I'm feeling good. I'm grounded. I did my morning routine. Boom. But the parts that and the parts that I love about my work, I can do those in the afternoon when I'm starting to slump off because the work becomes an external force of motivation. I'm excited about it. I get this the fun part. So even though I'm starting to get tired, the work is exciting so I can really maximize that time and still get the most out of my day. But if I had to flip it around and do the fun stuff when I'm feeling good, and then I did my best part of the day, and now you want me to come and do these meetings when I'm tired? The answer is no.
Not gonna happen.
Right?
Yeah,
so I create
that
to be able to get the most out of the day. And I'll tell you, more often than not, at the end of those days when I'm able to really nail it, I feel so accomplished. I feel so proud of myself. I feel so like just I'm clear. My to-do list got done. And so I feel better. Literally, emotionally, mentally, I feel better on those days when I can really optimize that flow because I have that understanding and that awareness of myself and what works.
You need.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it avoids that feeling of misalignment and overwhelm and just I'm lacking motivation. I don't even want to do it. Like I avoid so much of that because I'm aware of how to craft my day to maximize my energy. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense.
Okay.
That makes total sense.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. That was a really good unpack.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, thanks. I learned a lot, actually. I always learn a lot by listening to you, but I've really admired the way that you talk about and follow through on how you structure things, Dr. Joy. I believe in giving people their flowers when they can smell them. So I have always appreciated that about your workflow. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
Thank you.
So we want to make sure that we can guide our listeners and our viewers to their own flow crafting session. So can you share the Rooted Reflections? What we got today?
Yeah, so the Rooted Reflections, we have 4 of those for our audience today. And we're going to entitle this like an energy audit.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense? So for the next 7 days, we're going to ask you and we're going to ask ourselves to track the following things. 1, which tasks drain me?
Yeah.
Right? What do I do? And after it, I'm just done for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Okay. The second is which tasks energize me? Yeah. What makes me feel happy? What makes me feel upbeat, right, about my workflow? Third is where are my opportunities to design a workflow that really does optimize natural rhythms? Mm-hmm. What can I do to really put myself in the best position to help myself? How do I optimize that so that there's less energy going out and more energy coming in, right? Yes. Also, I need to have some conversation about my boundaries. Mm-hmm. What are my boundaries? Yep. What am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? Yep. And within these structures, how can I negotiate that? Yeah. And last but not least, where are the helpers?
Yes.
Right? Where are the helpers?
Where are my people?
Where are my people
Where
at?
are my people?
Yeah, and we may talk about this in a later show coming up, but a lot of people really conflate the hustle with me against the world.
Yeah, I got it out the
I gotta do it all myself.
Yeah.
But every single thing I've ever learned about the hustle is more Ocean's 11 than it is me against the world. You need a team.
Okay.
You need a team to help you. You need a team of people around you.
Sure.
We have a team here in the studio, lovely people helping us produce this show.
Right.
We can't really carry it all by ourselves.
Right.
And I think it's important to recognize your limitations, and it's absolutely okay to reach out for support.
It's absolutely necessary.
Essential.
We are designed.
Essential.
We are relational.
Absolutely.
Like social creatures. We need each other.
Absolutely.
So those are the reflections. I heard you commit us to doing those too. So it sounds like we might be in the midst of a 7-day challenge.
A little challenge.
Challenge.
I'm
I'll take it.
I'll take the challenge. I'll take the challenge. Absolutely.
Okay. So you heard it here. We are in this challenge with you.
Challenge.
7 days. We're going to check back in. But until then, we want to leave you with this. Help is available to me, and I am allowed to review my process, seek support, and try again.
Absolutely.
So, episode 5, from Burnout to Breakthrough. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming back. Good to see you, Dr. Joy.
Good to see you.
Thanks for holding some space.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you so much.
Bye, y'all. Take care.
Until next time.